सुखाचे जे सुख चंद्रभागे तटी.
Seeing the crowd and your music was really loved by lakhs and crores of people.
Performing in Koti Deepotsavam. I would say that it was not a concert or a performance like how we generally term. It was an offering. It was something else. It was like performing right at the feet of Shiva.
मामव भवसागर तारक गंगाधर शंकर करुणाकर.
That I could feel there was Shraddha, Bhakti. It goes very well with the name also, because I did it for Bhakti TV.
शिव शंभो स्वयंभो भो शंभो शिव शंभो स्वयंभो.
That because of this kind of musical connect, that both of you connected so well.
I would always be thankful to music for bringing him into my life, and vice versa. I'm thankful to him also because he's brought many new dimensions of music into my life. One guy that I can share things with and also knows every part of me, right? Because he knows me inside out. He knows me better than I do myself. I've told him also so many times that he's the bestest friend that I can have.
One song or one offering, must have done it hundreds of times, but still it feels very fresh. Which one?
மங்கை அழுது விழவே யமபடர்கள் நின்று சருவமலமே ஒழுக உயிர் மங்கு பொழுது கடிதே மயிலின் இசை வர வேணும்.
గాలిలో సంగీతం వినిపిస్తుంది, ఎక్కడ చూసినా మ్యూజికల్గా ఉంది. ఎందుకంటే శివాశ్రీ ఈరోజు హైదరాబాద్కి వచ్చింది. శివాశ్రీ, ద గ్రేటెస్ట్ ఆర్టిస్ట్, ఇస్ విత్ us. హలో.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. Awesome.
Yes. I said there's all musical vibes around me because Shivashri is here.
That's very sweet of you.
How is your stay in Hyderabad? How does it feel? You've come here before?
Yeah, quite a few times. I've been here for concerts. I've been here for my Bharatanatyam performances. And I've also been here on vacation to be with my mom when she was working here. So it's been almost like a second, third home to me. So it's a brilliant vibe, great city to be in, and awesome food. So yeah.
You said your mom was here, so that's the connection with Hyderabad. So Telugu నేర్చుకున్నారా మీరు?
Ayyo, illa.
No?
not even a bit. Like I know a couple of words. So I know Nenu, I know Miru, I know, that's all.
That's all.
I just manage with that. But I would love to learn, being a singer and being a Carnatic musician, it's something that should come naturally to musicians. So Telugu is something that is there in my bucket list.
You in Hyderabad performed at Koti Deepotsavam, seeing the crowd, and your music was really loved by lakhs and crores of people. It went live. How does it feel?
It was actually a very different feeling performing in Koti Deepotsavam. I would say that it was not a concert or a performance like how we generally term. It was an offering. It was something else. It was like performing right at the feet of Shiva.
अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल. अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल.
So that's not something that you feel everywhere. And with so many people around singing along with you, the energy that is, created in such a space and such a huge space is something else. And I would definitely look forward to coming back here, every single time and do my little offering to God, because the only feeling that I could feel there was Shraddha,
Yes.
Bhakti. You know, it goes very well with the name also, you know, because I did it for Bhakti TV. It's actually very true to the name, the entire event.
What do your mom call you and your friends call you? Because you have a very long name, Shiva Shri Skanda Prasad.
They call me Shiva, and I mean, back at home in Chennai, they call me Shiva. Now I've just gotten married and gone to a new city, new state, and people are just getting used to my name there. So it's still Shiva Shri, but yeah, I'm soon getting to Shiva again there also.
You said you got married. Tejasvi Surya Garu is from a political background. You're from the art and cultural background. So how was this merger? You have a different kind of public life. He has it.
Yeah.
So how you take it and how he manages?
Well, it's been a very seamless, you know, marriage. I've not found anything different after getting married to him because I say, doing my own things again.
Yeah.
So, and I have nothing to do with politics. Well, he has a lot to do with music though, because he sings really well, and he's also trained in classical music. So, he sort of understands where I come from and what my space is. I'm generally in my own space. So he sort of came to terms with that, made peace with that, and it's been very easy, the transition. I didn't feel anything different at all because he just made it feel like home. And Bangalore as a city again is a very receptive city to anything new, to anything different, and they just make it their own again. So it's been a seamless transition. I do my own things, and whenever he's free, he drops into my concert, comes and picks me up and goes. So that's something it's a very sweet spot that we have found to, you know, it's like a Venn diagram where you find that small common spot together. Yeah.
Wow, you described it so
Yeah, I'm
well.
sorry.
Venn diagram with that small spot. That is
Yeah.
so. I don't know. I can say
Mathematically
mathematically
explained, yeah.
explained and so well explained.
Yeah.
When you said that this is a time that he also drops in the concert, do you think that because of this kind of musical connect that both of you connected so well?
Absolutely, we connected because of music. There is no doubt about that. Our liking for Indian classical music, and we met at my concert, in fact. So
Pondicherry?
No, Tamil Nadu.
Tamil Nadu.
Yeah,
Okay.
in Chennai.
In Chennai.
He had come to Pondicherry and then traveled to Tamil Nadu during the last elections. So we had met for the first time around that time. So I would always be thankful to music for bringing him into my life, and vice versa. I'm thankful to him also because he's brought many new dimensions of music into my life. The only common thread that ties us together is music, and slowly there's fitness that's coming into the scene, which again I'm getting inspired from him, because of what all he does.
A new city, a new life. How did life change after marriage?
Yeah, the city is entirely different, the language is different. That was one major change that happened in my life. I had to learn an entirely new language. You know, just like how you asked me if I know anything in Telugu,
Yes.
I used to understand nothing in Kannada. So I've slowly made an effort and tried to learn bits and pieces here and there, and then now I'm framing sentences. So that was one major change. And another thing was, I come from a very small family. Like, we're just a family of three.
3 members.
So I don't have siblings. It's just
Yeah.
my father, my mother, and me.
Correct.
And I enter a family of 100. Okay. I'm not even exaggerating the number. The family, like the first circle of the family is 100. So yeah, and it's actually a very welcome change, because there's something that I realized after getting married, that I have missed people in life. You know, it's just been me, myself all the time,
Yeah.
playing with myself, entertaining myself. Pava, my dad used to be the one person, that used
Share
to
everything.
try and be like everything for me. Mother, sibling, everything. My mom used to go out and work. My
Yeah.
dad was a musician.
Correct.
He had more time with me compared to my mom. So I was like, my world was very small,
Yeah.
and now it's like expanded 50, 60x. So it's a welcome change. I'm learning a lot. I'm learning to mingle with people more, and yeah, just learning different kinds of people, how to just be in a bigger space.
In the family, who are you very much close to, and you can share anything with them?
Which one? I have a big family now.
Okay, name 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 members.
Well, initially it was my father, because I was always with my father.
Yeah.
So, because at different points there are different people that become much closer
Different
to
phases.
you. Yes, at different phases. So the initial phase was my dad. Everything was him. So I looked down, it was my dad. Look up, it was my dad. Everywhere. And yeah, whether it was music, my school studies, or any other decision that I had to take, it was my dad. Anything that I had to share, and then slowly, because you tend to become a different person when you finish school and go to college, and you have a very different outlook in life. And I sort of aligned well with my mom after that. And that is when she came into the picture. It is quite a long gap, but she did come into the picture at that time. We started sharing a lot, and she became a very close friend rather, and she still is. And right now, my mother-in-law, she's the cutest.
Okay.
And like I can actually share anything under the sun with her, and as easily as I do with my own mom. So I have had very crazy conversations with my mother-in-law also. We joke around, we discuss everything about everyone. So it's a very cute friend that I have found in her. And I can't miss my husband, definitely, because he is that one guy that I can share things with, and also knows every part of me.
Nice.
Right? Because he knows me inside out. He knows me better than I do myself. So,
Great.
like, he helps me discover a lot of things that I myself wouldn't dream of. So, I think, I've told him also so many times that he's the bestest friend that I can have.
Superb.
Yeah, the BFF for life. So, that's him.
You spoke about your mother-in-law, the most cutest. Normally, there are jokes that daughter-in-law, mother-in-law fights and all that. Which are the sweetest fights or sweetest moments that you want to share?
Well, fortunately or unfortunately, we have never fought till now.
Sorry.
Well, I don't think we'll ever fight because we are generally on the same page. So when there is a fight, it's
So there's no
me and
disagreement.
yeah, it's me and my mother-in-law on one side and maybe somebody else on the other side. So until now, we haven't really fought, or maybe even had differences that way. So we've just had funny discussions about other people. So like we are gangsters.
That's so sweet,
Yeah.
actually. When it comes to your daily routine,
Yeah.
when do you wake up? What is your routine like?
Well, there was a very strict routine until I finished school and also college, because my dad was a very strict disciplinarian, and he ensured that I got up at 5:45 a.m. So that was like a hard stop for my sleep. I had to get up. And then I used to have my morning music practice and then go to school, come back. I'll have either dance or music class. I'll go to that and come back, sit and study, finish homework, sleep on the book, get scolded, and then have my dinner and then go to sleep. So this was a very rigid
Routine.
routine that I had back in school. And to an extent, I also had to follow this in college because we again had a timetable and stuff. But after that, right after I finished college and came back, there was a dip in my discipline, for which I again got ringmastered by my dad. And then
I know, I met your
Yeah.
dad, but he's very sweet.
two others, yeah. well, absolutely sweet. There's no doubt about it. And now that he's much older and
Yeah.
stuff, he's become much softer these days.
Yeah.
That's there. I think either he has given up or or he's just decided that it's my responsibility from now. But he was really strict back then. These days, my travel schedule has been very erratic, random timings, and whenever I get a gap, I need to train or I just want to sleep. So this is how my schedule has become. So right now, I really don't have a day like this is how my every day looks like. So every day is like very different. Sometimes I get up at 5:30 because I have to go for like workout or something, and then some days I just get up at 7. So I mean, the latest being 7:30. I can't sleep beyond that either. But yeah, practice is something that I never leave, because the day I leave it, it leaves me. So that's one thing that I ensure. At least I get 30 minutes of practice every day in any form. So either we listen to music for 15-20 minutes and try to sing for 10-15 minutes at least. Listening also is part of practice, sadhana. So I try to get these as much as possible. So the only discipline that I try to follow is sing every day, exercise, eat healthy.
Exercise, you are participating in one of the most popular, what is it called? Races?
Ironman, yeah, races,
Ironman.
yeah.
And you will be cycling for 90 kilometers?
Yes,
90?
90,
Oh,
yeah.
oh my God. How strong you are.
I wish I could say that with that much confidence, but it's a game, you know. It's like it's not the same every time. You might have done 152, but then the 90 is still 90.
Too much.
Still a mammoth, yeah. So you just know on that day whether your mind is strong enough to finish or not. Yes, of course, 50 to 60% of it you train. You need to be physically very strong, but the rest, the 40% that is there, is sheer mind game. It's a willpower that pushes you in the race. But what I do is just a relay, and there are guys out there that do the entire thing. For instance, my husband, yeah, he's doing the entire thing. He did the entire thing last year. It's a half Ironman. We don't have a full Ironman that happens in our country. So the entire half Ironman, the entire triathlon, he does it. I do the relay because I'm very bad at swimming. So this is the scene. So it's right there around the. Um, it's this weekend. It's right here, and I'm very nervous right now as I'm talking to you.
I'm sure you would really crack that too.
I really hope. Thank
when
you.
people see you on stage and off stage, on stage you're so mesmerizing. There's as if somebody else entered into you, and with your expressions, the kind of singing, how did it happen? And do you ever feel that as you're performing your craft, there is some kind of divine intervention in that, and something happens to you?
100%. So yeah, like you said, somebody just enters. So as long as I think that I'm the one that's singing on stage, I don't think I'll continue singing. Music will stop, being with me. So it's the divine force. I cannot separate art from the divine. So I really feel the moment I get on stage, I drop myself there and surrender to the divine, and then the rest is taken care of by them. So whatever music that we hear on stage, I also listen to myself on stage, right? I stop performing, I start listening to myself, because it's a divine happening. So the moment I get on stage, the ego drops. That, oh, I am going to perform. So that's something that my gurus always insisted. The day you drop ego, music starts. So the moment, in fact, not even the day, the moment you drop ego, music starts. So I very consciously try to believe in that, and to live by that every day. So whatever happens on stage, please don't ask me. I'm not responsible.
But now for singing, you're responsible. Something you want to hum for us before leaving?
Sure. This is, I generally sing a lot of Abhanga, and I have a very unique personal connect with Vithala. So, from my childhood, it's been a gift that I'm able to chant his name. It's his blessing again. So, I would like to just sing a few lines, a couple of lines from my very favorite Abhanga. सुखाचे जे सुख चंद्रभागे तटी, सुखाचे जे सुख चंद्रभागे तटी, पुंडलिका पाठी उभे ठाके सुखाचे जे सुख चंद्रभागे तटी पुंडलिका पाठी उभे ठाके सुखाचे जे सुख.
Wow. I want to just clap for you. So beautiful.
Thank you.
In your live performances, one song or one offering that you feel that it's very close to your heart, you must have done it hundreds of times, but still it feels very fresh. Which one?
It's a Tirupugar in Tamil. Tirupugars are compositions on Muruga, on Subramanya. Right? That's by a very famous composer called Arunagirinathar. And I again have a very strong connect with Subramanya, and the compositions that's called Tirupugar is very powerful. They are, of course, it's a composition of surrender, but also invokes the Shakti inside everyone, you know, the power, the valor, the Veera Rasa, you know, because he's known for that, right?
Yeah.
He's like the army chieftain. So, of course, he's known for the Veera Rasa. And for some reason, there's one particular Tirupugar called Tondi Sariya, which talks about how at the end of our lifetime, when we think about the entire life that we have lived, we don't carry anything with us when we leave, right? The last moment is when we just leave everything and disappear for eternity, and we just become a memory. And it's such a deep philosophy that the Tirupugar has, conveyed in a very raw fashion. You know, in raw Tamil, it has described how the body decomposes, and finally it is nothing. And at that moment, the poet actually calls for Muruga and says, "That is the moment when I want to actually remember you." You know, that's the
Beautiful.
moment when we don't. When we think about pain, when we think about loss, guilt, regret, all these things come into play, and then we forget that, hey,
Divine.
all this is nothing, there's something else. So the poet asks for Muruga to come at that point and remind
One
him
line
to
from
think
that?
about it. Oh yeah, sure. தொந்தி சரிய மயிரே வெளிர நிறை தந்த மசைய முதுகே வளைய இதழ் தொங்க ஒரு கை தடிமேல் வர மகளிர் நகையாடி தொண்டு கிழவனிவனாரென இருமல் கிங்கிணென முனுரையே குழற விழி துஞ்சு குருடு படவே செவிடுபடு செவியாகி வந்த பிணியும் அதிலே மிடையும் உரு பண்டிதனுமையுருவே தனையும் இளமைந்தருடைமை கடனே தினமுடுக தூயர் மேவி மங்கை அழுது விழவே யமபடர்கள் நின்று சருவமலமே ஒழுக உயிர் மங்கு பொழுது கடிதே மயிலின் இசை வரவே. I've just sung half of it, but
Wow.
that's where the line comes.
But the
Yeah.
kind of, even if you don't understand the language also, the philosophy you told,
Yeah,
it got a connection basically.
yeah.
Nice. So finally, the kids or who actually start very young. You started at the age of 3.
Yeah.
So some start at 3, 5, 10. So what do you have to tell them?
Everybody starts, but the most important thing is to sustain. So I think gurus, parents play a very important role in helping the kids sustain, and to actually more than sustaining the art itself, sustaining the interest to pursue the art. The difficult part is the journey, right? The program is addiction. It's
Yes.
like it's intoxication, but the difficult part of the journey is where you sit in your room and do riyaz when nobody is
Practice.
watching you. So that is the part where we need kids to start enjoying the process, right? Because we don't have many classical musicians that understand what is happening on stage. We don't have many laymen that understand what classical musicians are doing on stage. So because of that lack of understanding, the gap that is there between laymen and the artists, there's a loss of interest in general public to listen to classical music. So I think we need to bridge the gap between the two crowds and try to make it a lot more interesting and easier for the lay crowd to understand what is happening, where I think making it less complex comes into play. And so I think the kids need to find an alternate route to enjoy the process, to connect with people and not just sit and perform.
Yeah.
So connecting with people is the key there. The moment you start connecting, you get a new energy from there back to you. So that is when the art becomes much more interesting. And I really wish I see like hordes of kids that come up and do this, take this up, and you know, take Indian art forms seriously than they do now.
I've seen about this interaction which you're talking about. I've seen in one of the videos where you sang the Siyapati Ramchandra Ki Jai, and the whole crowd started singing, and you made that so interactive. They just loved it. So this is like your own style of doing it.
Well, partly, yeah. I wouldn't call it my style because, there have been many instances when many other artists have done it. But it is just that, the right timing of doing things. There's been a long gap. And then there have been doyens in this Nama Sankirtanam industry that have done this, that have made people repeat what they've been singing, the Namavali, everything. But for some reason it just stopped at some point in the middle, and now it's again starting, and I honestly started this because I felt so disconnected with the audience when I was singing initially. I mean, initially I was doing Bharatnatyam, right?
Yeah.
And the dancer doesn't have a scope to make people
Interact.
but for a few instances when we can actually see a few faces and do the expression to them and talk, which I've done a couple of times. But apart from that, we don't have much scope because we are mute. We just dance to music. So, and music gave me a whole new dimension to that, feature where I can stop singing, I can start talking, and then I can make them sing along. And then I found that everybody started smiling for the first time in a concert. Otherwise, they'll just be sitting like this and listening,
Yeah.
critically analyzing what is happening in the concert, what is happening on stage. So I thought, guys, let's ease ourselves for a moment. We have to relax, not sit tight and critically analyze something. So music is there for people to forget themselves and enjoy in bliss. So I thought, first let us get into bliss and then let's make them also feel that same bliss.
Yeah.
So that's when it started, and I just thought, hey guys, why don't you sing along?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's really entertaining also for them also, rather than
Absolutely,
sitting like
yeah.
this with the expression you showed.
Yeah.
Really wonderful talking to you. So it was, I can say, a blissful interview though. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Had a great time.
Same
That
here,
time.
same
Yeah,
here.
Yeah.
So
Thank you, Taruna.
You want to say Siyapati Ramchandra Ji ki Jai?
Oh yeah, Siyapati Ramchandra ki.
Jai.
I really wish they all said Jai now.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Wonderful
Thank
talking
you.
to you.
Thank you.
చూశారు కదా, శివాశ్రీ గారు తను ఏమన్నారంటే, అసలు చిన్నపిల్లలు చిన్నప్పటి నుంచి మ్యూజిక్ ప్రాక్టీస్ చేస్తారు, కానీ అది సస్టైన్ అవ్వడం చాలా చాలా కష్టం. ప్రాక్టీస్ చేయండి, స్టేజ్ పైన పర్ఫార్మెన్సే కాదు, మీరు ప్రాక్టీస్ చేసే టైం కూడా చాలా చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్. కెమెరామెన్ అలీతో తరుణ, ఎన్టీవీ హైదరాబాద్.